Hey, Alexandria, Chris here. I'm going to look at your chart and then we're going to see what's going on with you, with entrepreneurship, business, and love life. So it looks like we have a few questions. I totally apologize. Usually I do get these out on the weekend, but I was very backed up with some family stuff this weekend. So I'm going to give you a few extra minutes to make up. All right. So we'll see what's going on now with you. And there are some things that are popping out, standing out, even with me looking at this briefly, because you're a Virgo rising, you have your moon in Virgo. So this has been a very challenging period for you over the last, year and a half, even. You probably really noticed the changes, in 2023, around March 2023, when Saturn entered Pisces. That's when relationships for you would have got very hit, right? Because you have your moon and your Venus in mutable signs. You have your moon in Virgo, you have your Venus in Sagittarius. So yeah, so this brings a lot of changes to those dynamics in the way that we express ourselves and the way that we attract love, and relationships could have ended around that time. And now as well, this is kind of, you're at the culmination phase of this. I'm going to show you what's going on with your chart. So you're a Virgo moon. Virgo moons are very practical. They're very helpful. They express themselves, they express their emotions more grounded than other people do. They are very practical people. They like to, they express through maybe helping and giving gifts and that kind of thing. But they like to make sure that they have enough and the people they care about are taken care of. And you have this moon square Venus as well. So, there is this longing for love and a stable relationship. But sometimes with the moon Venus, we can attract things that aren't good for us. We have a tendency to, we want that, we idealize love kind of to such a degree with the moon Venus aspect that we can end up with something that may not be good for us, right? And that can happen at times with this. Sometimes we just, again, it's that over idealization, that overindulgence in, sensuality and love. Sex is a big part of our life and we want it. But at the same time, we have to be very careful because we can get taken advantage of. Now, your seventh house over here, that was just kind of going through the first house. You're a Virgo rising, right, with that moon. Now, your seventh house is the house of the relationships and the other person. So while this represents you in the chart more personally in the way that, you put yourself out to the world, this is what we're attracting from that. So this is Pisces. Now, currently, since 2023, Saturn has been transiting Pisces since March of 23. So that's when you probably notice relationships were more challenging. Either we are not able to attract a good relationship, or we could have been in a breakup with someone, or we're going through that right now even, because you have this Saturn currently has been opposing your moon and Venus and squaring Venus. So this is the most challenging time for relationships, right? And since you're such a heavy mutable sign, even work can be affected by this. Maybe not to the degree as relationships right now, though, but there are good changes coming, which I'm going to get into. Don't be totally frightened off, right? So I just want to take a look at the other aspects here. Now, you also have very good aspects as well, though, that help support. So it's not all bad, right? You have a Venus aspect that's very supportive with your natal Mercury and your natal Mars. So Venus Mars people are very fun. They're able to attract good relationships. They bring in a lot of playfulness, and they're very sexual. They're very much in tune with their body, and they know what they want, and they're very good at working with their hands. They're creative people as well, but they're more fun. They're more playful in general. But with you, your Mars is also in its detriment here in Libra. So that's the second house. So that's finances, which I'll get to as well. I'm kind of talking about relationships, but there's a lot to talk about, right? So, with Mars in Libra, we can get very frustrated when things don't go our way. Libras like to have a degree of give and take. They feel off when people aren't contributing their fair share, so to speak. So with that particular aspect, yeah, there can be challenges around that in relationships. We might feel off. We might get frustrated easily. We might lash out when we feel challenged financially. Now, with this Venus aspect, though, it's supportive. So it is helping, even though that Mars is kind of off. You kind of have to look at the bigger picture here. So Venus is still supporting, and Venus is the ruler of Libra. And Venus is in a very happy aspect here. So she's still supporting. So even though that Mars gets a little frustrated, Venus brings in support. It really does. It will help you tremendously. And then we have, let's see, your moon is in a good aspect with Saturn here too. So yeah, even though we have that moon Venus square, that moon Saturn trine helps to stabilize some of that. So we are able to look more seriously for the longer term and in relationships. Over time as we age, the Saturn starts to come out more. Saturn is a planet of growth and of the long term, right? And while Venus wants what it wants, it kind of thinks for today, Saturn is thinking for tomorrow. And Saturn brings kind of this stabilizing effect to your emotions over time, as we go through things and we experience things, like even what you may be going through right now, challenges in the home, challenges with relationships, finances. You're kind of in the midst of it now because the Saturn transit is right on one of your stakes. We call these the stakes. The first, the seventh, the 10th, fourth. They're the primary pivots in the chart that hinges the rest, all the rest of it hinges on that. You're in the thick of it right now. You really are. So that's where some of these challenges are coming. I just wanted to give you a brief chart overview just to kind of show you what we're working with. There's a lot more to go through there, obviously, but I don't have that much time. So we'll do that. I just want to do that. And now we're going to switch over. I'm going to show you some transits so we can look at the coming year a little more. And I kind of started a little bit already, but we'll get a little deeper as well. Okay. So this is your transit chart. Now this inner wheel, so this inner wheel here is that base chart we were just looking at. This outer wheel here is the sky now as it currently is. And the way that these two energies blend together kind of creates our day-to-day reality. So this gives us a feel of where we are at right now because maybe certain parts of our natal chart are more activated. And that's why we don't feel like every little thing all the time. We feel one part more activated maybe 1 year, next part more activated. And that's kind of where things are at, right? So you have been in, let's see, again, you are in this Saturn square Venus stage right now. You're in a Saturn opposite Moon stage, and this really became more active during the summer of 24. The good news is this is all starting to leave right now, right? So over the next month, even, you're going to notice this ease up so much. You're like right in the thick of it. And I want to say, yeah, going into later March, this is basically over for you. You're going to feel like a weight lifted. And then by the summer, this all changes. Late May, Saturn moves into Aries. So this will bring different changes, but some of those relationship struggles will start to ease up quite a bit. And it may be more frustrating, as we kind of shake off, I don't know, you didn't mention if you're in a relationship yet. I feel like you might be, but this could represent an ending to relationships. And if you're not in one, it will just bring new changes and new dynamics. So things will get easier over time, over the next few years, and we'll be able to attract those better relationships again. Now, this may not be the most fun because we still have this Saturn squaring Uranus. So this could bring up different things with finances, especially, which I'll get into. We'll talk about your finances. We'll talk about your relationships. The big one right now, though, that you're in the midst of is this relationship aspect. But again, this is starting to pass. So there could have been issues with the home life, maybe children versus family and the relationship, and everything just feels like there's a lot of pressure on you, to get money. Maybe our stability has been challenged. Maybe a partner hasn't been providing his weight. Maybe, all these things. Could be all the above. It could be, health things pop up. So we're kind of in the thick of it with all these different aspects that you have now because you've had Saturn moon and Saturn Venus very prominently just like kind of stuck there. Now, the good news is we've also had Jupiter up in our 10th house for the last, 6 months or so. So you've had Jupiter in Gemini. So as far as for entrepreneurship, this is a great year for that. This is a great year for being recognized, getting yourself out in public, getting noticed more. Because again, this top half of the chart right here is what the public sees, right? It's the sky that is visible above our head. The bottom half is more of our private life. It's what's under the earth, right? So we consider that maybe things that are less known about us, but that's our foundation. That's our kind of private side where we have our home base. So right now you're currently in this Jupiter phase of building this public persona, right? Of building something that's going to be more noticed by people and recognized. And you also have this Jupiter trine Mars and Mercury. So this makes for excellent communication at this time. This brings more luck with financial matters, or if you're putting yourself out there over the internet, like in vlogs or TikToking, whatever the case is, we start to get more recognized. Now, Jupiter has been retrograde, which slows that down. It kind of makes us replan things and make sure our foundation is laid. Now, Jupiter is going direct again. Actually, in a few days, it starts. So if you felt like progress has been slowed down, it's going to start to resume a little bit. All right, so that is a good thing. You're actually in a very good stage for this. And this Jupiter Mars aspect and Jupiter Mercury aspect that you have, it will give you ambition. It will make you more outspoken. So you will be able to be recognized. This brings excellent marketers, right? People that take marketing very seriously, advertising very seriously. They get recognized. They have good communication skills. And with Mars Jupiter, we have the ability to take risks over the next few months. I would say from now until about the summer, maybe even June or July. Yeah, we want to take risks. We want to try more. We want to do more. We want to drive. And we will have those risks pay off more likely with this particular aspect. So you're in a very good aspect for that. And then actually next, probably by July, you should start feeling this one. Yeah, you're going to have a Jupiter conjunct Jupiter, which every 12 years or so, Jupiter moves to conjunct your natal Jupiter. And since you are a natal Cancer Jupiter, Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. It loves being there. So friend groups become very prominent. We dream bigger. We are able to bring more of our reality, our those subconscious goals to reality. We start bringing things out and manifesting more with this aspect. Every 12 years or so, Jupiter conjuncts Jupiter brings a lot of luck to us. And you in particular, you're going to have Jupiter square Mercury and Mars. So again, we become very outspoken. Maybe we want to start up a vlog, or do TikToks and debating people and just challenging and call outs and things like that. That's a very good placement for that. And we'd also have a lot of luck with it. So your natal chart is actually in a very good place over the coming year for building this business, for growing it. The thing is, in the sky right now, it's actually a little more challenging because our natal sky, I mean, the transit sky, what's happening now, like with everything that's happening in America, with the tariffs and with the new president and all these things happening, with TikTok being banned potentially, there are other challenges that come out that we have to navigate too at the same time. Because while we may be having more luck personally, there's also this kind of Jupiter square Saturn in the sky that's happening, which does bring out a lot of financial pressures in general for the whole economy, which does filter down and starts to affect us personally. So even though we are in this better phase for bringing our goals to reality, we still have to pay attention to that macrocosm and the macro events, right? But I feel like for you personally, you're in a very good spot here to start making these a reality. Now, yeah, the beginning part of this may feel a little challenging over the summer. So, friend groups will go much better. Home life will go much better. You have more drive, you have more ambition, you're able to take on more projects, you probably get more recognized. Money may be slow to come in though at first because you have this Mars second house here. And then we also have Saturn moving into the eighth house, right? And the eighth house does represent finances and debt. And for you, there's a little bit of a Uranus square here. So we have this Uranus, Saturn square Uranus all summer. So that can bring up unexpected changes, maybe things that we have to deal with. Like maybe TikTok does get banned eventually. And I suspect that that's a very big possibility with our kind of erratic leaders right now. And I'm going to do a whole video about that, with what's going on there. But I do think that is a possibility. And I'm in a similar boat where I have to find new avenues. I have to find new marketing. I have to be able to really diversify and make sure I'm spread out enough across multiple things, not just the internet, but locally and all that kind of stuff, to try to make sure that if one light bulb goes out, there are still other ones on. And we have to look at it that way. We want multiple streams of income when you're doing entrepreneurship, right? And if you haven't started planning yet for that, it's a good time. Write down our plans, write down what our goals are. Make a whole list, write for about 5 minutes, just nonstop. Move your hand. That's called magical writing. Put pen to paper, literally, not type it, put a pen to paper, write it with your hand. It brings out that more kinesthetic feel. It brings out a visual feel. And write down everything that you want. Make bullet points or numbers, whatever you want. And then write next to it, the timeline you think it's going to take to get there. Is it 1 year? Is it 5 years? Is it 6 months? Whatever the case. And then what I want you to do is get a new piece of paper, flip the page, whatever, write down the resources. What do you have that will help you get there? What skills do you have? And anything, write down all of your skills that you think will contribute to that. And then next to it, write down things that you may have to work towards. What skills do we need to acquire to get to these particular goals? And then, kind of compare the two, circle the most important ones of what you do have and what you need. All right. And then we can go back to what we need, and we can kind of figure out what the plan is to get there, to make some of those goals become a reality based on what we have and what we need. And then a very big point of writing those goals too, which will help you manifest them. Again, this is magical thinking. We need to know the reasons why. We need to know who, what, where, when, why. So if you say you want $1 million, why? What will that make me feel like? What will it allow me the ability to do? How will it change my life? Why? Why is this important to me? And, do I need help getting it? Who? Do I need partners? Do I need whatever I need? Do I need to work with other people? Where? How is this going to happen? Where? Et cetera. Just keep going like that. Go down the list. And you will start to see a picture generated. And this may take an hour or two to really get this going. But once you do that, that's magical thinking, and it's going to help you manifest those goals later. So I do feel like you're in a good position based on this birth chart to get there. But we want to maximize that as best as we can so we can really start getting there. All right. Now, again, this summer, we have Saturn moving into Aries temporarily, and then it will retrograde to Pisces again in September. So from about June until September, Saturn will be in Aries, which for you is roughly your eighth house. So in whole signs, it's your eighth house. And the eighth house can represent debts and things like that. And I feel like there can be some big changes coming, and we need to work very hard. But Jupiter is up here giving us some saving grace. So you do have this Jupiter conjunction. So I feel like groups and people will come out of the woodwork. So you may get unexpected help. Our ambitions are very high. We're learning more. We're able to take control of our life and really get things done. So you're kind of in this dual phase right now. But we do need to be careful that the bills don't start to pile up, that If things don't get kind of out of control while we're building this business up. And then, let's see. I mean, you do have a lot of good supporting aspects here too, because we still have a Jupiter in aspect, you still have a Venus in aspect. So I feel like in 2026, those aspects will start to kick in, which will offer some help as well. But there's a lot of work in your future, right? You can make this manifestation, you can manifest it and have this become a reality. But at the same time, I see a lot of work needs to be done, right? Especially with this Mars in your second house. This is a very difficult aspect for finances because the second house rules our finances. This second, eighth house quadrant, to a lower extent, the fifth and the 11th, they rule finances. So, what does that mean? That means that sometimes we have to work harder. There can be unexpected difficulties that pop up that tend to separate us from our resources and our finances. You know, there's like there can be more challenges. There can be more challenges in general at times when we have that particular aspect. But I feel with you do have this nice Mercury Mars. So you have the verbal acuity and the mental acuity. We're very outspoken people. We're very much able to make our point known. So I feel like for you, even like maybe that if you're doing blogging, like a debate style would work out very well for you, or like a critique, like a kind of a snarky critique against whatever subject we are railing against, kind of like the negative marketing kind of thing. I feel like for you would really help. It would bring things in because you'd be very good at that. Just kind of a like the more like criticize someone else's stuff and then bring out those pain points in people that really, says, oh, this is why this sucks and you don't need that. Here's what you do need. Like that kind of marketing would work very well for you, I feel like. So, it is a little bit of a challenge. It is a bit of a challenge over the next year, but you do have a lot of saving grace here with Jupiter. So I feel like you will be probably getting people to come out of the woodwork that might help you. Our ambitions will be big. We will be very good natured, and you might see some luck come in, even though there are these Saturnian challenges. Saturn delays. It delays, and it can be very frustrating while we're going through Saturn aspects. But at the same time, once they're over, we become more grounded for them. We become a little more well off, and you also have this natal Saturn Jupiter aspect in opposition. So again, finances, I do see this aspect very commonly with people that work for themselves, right? Sometimes these people make a whole buttload of money and then they will come up and end up in bankruptcy court for their company, but they will still do well. Like they will still have like money in the background. Sometimes they don't do well during these more challenging aspects, but then you will see them be rich a few years later. You know, their money kind of ebbs and flows, but over time as they age, they become more solid. They become more stable. Someone with a Jupiter Saturn aspect like this is actually Donald Trump, right? So Donald Trump has bankrupted many businesses, but he has done very well for himself at the same time. Love him or hate him. So we do have that aspect there. So again, while Saturn feels challenging and it feels very frustrating when we're going through Saturn aspects, especially with you this summer, you're going to have this Saturn Uranus thing, which can bring up things that are unexpected, right? There may be unexpected changes. We have to rework our whole ideas and plans, but I feel like you will have help, support, good ideas that come to you because you're a very quick thinker with this Mercury, Mars, and then you also have this Jupiter supporting it. And then you have Jupiter, Pluto, which can bring, unexpected gains from other places. But there can also be, a big reworking of our whole game plan, a big ending that pops up. The eighth house can represent endings, and this is square Uranus, which is sudden, unexpected change at times. And now currently, right now, we also have this Mars in Cancer, which is bringing you a lot of drive, but you also have this Mars square Mars. So probably you've been noticing this for the last month, maybe even 2 months. You have so much energy, you have so much ambition. This is kind of an aspect where we don't want to take crap from anyone. There can be arguments that pop up. We're very physically active. We're kind of like in this fight mode, fight or flight mode, and you're just, grinding and trying to get things done. And friend groups right now, you might want to do more of your own thing if you've been spending too much time elsewhere, right? This could be more of a, this is telling you, hunker down, focus on certain things. Sometimes we're spread too thin with this aspect and it can get a little bit challenging. Again, financial challenges because you have Mars square Mars, which is your second house right now. And this is going on until about April. So there are challenging aspects in your chart, but we also have this Jupiter up here supporting it, saying, if you work hard at this and you keep at it, you can have it pay off, but nothing will come easy to you, right? Because, especially because you're a natal Jupiter Saturn person, opposition. Nothing will come easy. You have to work very hard for it, and it will take time, right? So the entrepreneurship can pay off 100% with this aspect, but it will not pay off without lots of work and likely some failures along the way. So whether that is 50 years old, sometimes 40, 50, 60 even, people that make money with these aspects, they keep pushing through it. I'll give you an example, like the guy that invented Toyota, the company, I believe he was a Jupiter Saturn person. And, all of his life he was an engineer and he enjoyed doing it and he worked for companies, but he had all these great ideas at the company he worked for and they would always shoot them down. So he got very frustrated. He's like, I want to start my own thing. So he started his own thing and he started, it was something to do with lawnmowers and things like that. And he kept having problems. Some company ended up buying the rights to one of the things that he needed for his parts, so he had to restart all over again. So I believe it was like the war happened. It must have been World War II, I think. I think that they were bombing and there was a gas supply shortage. So this guy creatively in his garage, while he was unemployed, comes up with this great idea to build this little bike with a motor on it. So he's riding this thing throughout town and, because there was a gas shortage and this thing, it ran on gas technically, and gas was banned because they needed it for the war effort, I guess. And what he did was he would mix a little bit of gas with like essentially essential oils to make it smell like not gas. So it wasn't technically gas, it was something else. And he somehow got it to run on this. And so he got riding throughout town. He got very popular. All of a sudden people were placing orders all over for his little, what eventually became a scooter, right? And it took him many, many years to get there after many, many failures because he kept failing and failing. But first people mocked his ideas and then there was like shortages and then there was, I think, one of his factories even got bombed and he had to start all over. Things like that tend to happen with the Jupiter Saturn people, but they keep working and then eventually they make it. So whatever happens, don't give up. You can make it work, but it's very, might be a struggle in the process. Nothing will come easily. But when it does, it will be a very nice payoff for you, right? You're a Jupiter Cancer person. The payoffs they do come and they do get nice. And since you also have a nice Venus-Mars aspect here, it's very helpful. Venus-Mars people they attract money as well. So even though Mars is kind of out of place here, Venus is offering its support. It's saying, I will support you. We'll get there. We'll get there together. All right, I know I went through a whole lot for you. I wanted to go a little bit over. I guess I did this half hour. Usually these are only 20 minutes because I was a little late getting there. So if you have any questions, definitely feel free to reach out to me via email and I will answer them for you. All right. I know I went through a whole bunch of different things. Would like me to clarify anything that I didn't? I know I ramble. Reach out. All right. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the week, and I will talk to you later. All right, Alexandria. Bye.